business. It just eats me alive after a while, which is why I came here in the first place. I need my vindication, so I don't care who you are. I don't care if you walk around backstage with your slimy impact mouth or with your emo face paint daddy. You got a title, you got a problem. So this company can put me through all the hoops and diversions they want, but they cannot keep me from my destiny any longer. So I guess the real question now is, what champion do I beat first?
Welcome back, All Elite family, to another exciting edition of Too Sweet Elite. You're here with your boy, All Elite Andrew, AJ, and we're joined frequently by our boy Jonny D. How's everybody doing?
Dude, I'm doing great. I had a meeting with an entertainment lawyer. That's so fancy I am, motherfucker. Big Hollywood AJ is back.
Oh, Jesus.
And he's big movie shit.
That's what's up, dude. Happy to hear it. Sounds exciting.
Okay. It was a big deal.
I bet, dude. Hollywood AJ has the money to throw around, though, so you should be good, dude. I need to get you a Hollywood AJ theme, some Hollywood Hogan.
Yeah.
There we go. We'll get it. How you doing, Johnny? How you been?
I'm doing great. I was on vacation the past weekend visiting my 90-year-old grandma. So
Nice.
that's chill.
That's what's up. That's cool. That sounds like fun, dude. That's awesome.
You're a good boy. Your grandma.
Shout out to your grandma. 90 years. That's a long time. So that's dope, dude. Very exciting. I haven't really been up to much, just trying to catch up on college stuff, get everything closed off, finished up, and it's coming together well, but it's been a busy weekend, but nothing exciting to talk about. Just a bunch of dumb college stuff. We got some interesting AEW news to talk about, some interesting stuff. Let's talk about Takeshita going back to DDT. We should have covered this on the last episode, honestly, because it was news on Monday, but I didn't see his Twitter until Tuesday afternoon and saw that he's going back to Japan.
I'm sad. What do you want to say, man? I'm sad. I liked him a lot. I was like, man, this guy could be like a main event player in AEW. This guy's fucking amazing. And then now he's gone. He's gone back to DDT. And I get it. You want to work with DDT. You want to open that door. You want to have that bridge. I want him. And I want him to be ours.
I agree with you, dude. What did you think? Did you get to see much of Takeshita, Johnny, or no?
Unfortunately, I think I subscribed to DDT for a while, so I think I might have saw a few matches of his there, but I didn't watch an AEW. I didn't see his AEW run, unfortunately.
Okay, you should take some time to check it out, because it was a solid little run. To me, it seems
check out
like
him versus Danny Limelight, and that goes to everybody listening.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that one, you should definitely check it out. It was a great match, it wasn't even necessarily his debut, it was his AEW televised debut, I guess you could say, or YouTube debut. Yeah. He did a match on the house show. He did a couple of matches on Dark Elevation. They were really entertaining. I thought he did a great job at just showcasing himself. So, yeah, I think it's a new way for them to showcase a talent that will be back in the future, but might not be wrapped up with DDT right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe he wants to stay a DDT guy. I don't know if he's like really loyal to the company, because Kenny Omega made it sound that way in an interview I read.
And maybe that's how they set up the match between him and Kenny, is he goes off and wins the DDT championship, and then you have Kenny, the belt collector, go up against him. So that's a way they could definitely do that match and sort of have introduced him prior to that. That would actually be really smart. Say he's about to become DDT champion. They've already got that in the works. So how do you introduce that superstar to an American audience early? This would be a great way to do it. That's what I feel like they're doing regardless. Like somehow they definitely have him in some type of plans going forward. They didn't just do this short run and then send him back as just a random thing, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either, because they wouldn't have put him like around Kenny.
Yeah, that's a great point. So it was definitely really cool. Like I said, Johnny, you should take a second if you get a chance to check out his match with Danny Limelight, because Danny looked great too. So he's someone that maybe will get more focus going forward off of this, that they might not have even expected that to be the case, where Danny gets to be a shining star by precedence of just working with Takeshita. So we'll see what happens there. But it was really cool. I was very bummed out, like AJ, to see that he's going back to DDT. But it's interesting to see their creative ways of working with other companies. So it's good stuff.
Yeah,
it's good publicity for DDT, like you guys mentioned earlier, and it can only lead to good things. Like maybe DDT will bring out more talent to show up on Dark sometimes. Like whenever travel is cleaner. easier to do.
And just a good way to show other companies, like, hey, this is how we treat talent who comes in, and we don't just bury them, even if it's for a short time. Like, we elevate them, which is funny because it was on Dark Elevation. But yeah, that's pretty much what I got from it, and it does make me want to check out DDT and see some of their stuff, primarily because of him, but it could introduce me to other stuff as well. So. Other news, they've talked about how Blood and Guts is apparently going to be a one-match show. I'm really curious what you guys think about this, what your feelings are, that the match itself is apparently going to take up the whole 2 hours of Dynamite.
Yeah, what?
It makes some sense because...
Are they going to do pre-tape stuff? Like, they could just do pre-tape matches. Like, the live stuff could be, like, one match, but they could do, like, pre-tape stuff to fill out 2 hours. Otherwise, it's going to be, I'll be honest, kind of a lame show besides one match, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that it is a lot of hype to it. There's a lot of build to it, but I'm kind of there with you. It's interesting because when you take into consideration, I guess, some of the other War Games matches that have occurred on NXT recently, they went like 35 to 45 minutes. They also had one less competitor each on each side. So if you take that into consideration, this does kind of become like a 55-minute match, which on an hour and a half of television, you only have so much, right?
Couldn't you like advertise, like if you want to make it look really cool, like you could advertise that and you advertise another big match or two?
I agree 100%.
Give it a short amount of time.
That there should be one more match on the card at the very least. I'm surprised that there's nothing.
Yeah, they should definitely pre-tape at least like one or two matches just to fill time. Like otherwise it's going to be promo packages all day, and that people don't really like that.
Yeah, even though me and AJ, and I know
we
me
love
especially,
promo packages.
I really like promo packages. So for me, like I'm not too torn on it. I think it could be interesting, but it is kind of strange. It's a weird thing. It's a weird way to set it up.
The grand majority of people would be very confused as to why they're watching a video package for an hour.
But with them having essentially no competition, no wrestling competition, I should say, on Wednesday nights now, it makes more sense that they could do something like this where it's like, oh, we're just going to have one match take up the whole show. This one involves, so many different talent. I don't know. I'm not sold on it. I'm going to have to wait and see for sure. I'm definitely kind of more on the pessimistic side without having seen it.
Okay, but here's what I want to say. Because, again, WWE PTSD. WWE PTSD is real, man. And we've said a lot in our childhood. We've known each other a long time. We'll wait and see. And it never worked out. But with AEW, every time we've waited and saw, it's always been pretty fucking awesome.
Well, and that's kind of where my take on this match, it's funny how you bring that up. It becomes more open-minded because of a WWE match I saw that lasted like an hour on SmackDown. They did an hour-long Iron Man between Kurt Angle and Brock, and that took up a majority of the show. I don't think that was the only thing on the show.
It wasn't, but you're right.
So in the circumstance of like a really long match, I'm open-minded, but I don't know how you can format this show to be that entertaining for 2 hours with just one match. We'll see, but I'm definitely more on the pessimistic side. But they tend to prove me wrong. Like you said, when we wait and see with AEW, they tend to do right by us. So we'll see. I'll be shocked if we come out of that show like there couldn't have been anything else on this or anything. And I think that they'll put something else on that show. I don't think they'll get to the show and it will actually just be a one-match show. I think that's just kind of speculation that they'll get feedback on. I don't think people will be overly negative going into it, but it's kind of like, well, why not have one or two more matches at least?
Yeah.
Well, the thing could be is that there could be like a different structured match than what we're thinking. It could just not be a War Games match.
That's true.
Like it could be like a Royal Rumble style thing where there's actually like more time to work. Like Royal Rumbles can like last an hour and a half sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
So it could be like something like that instead, rather than just all guys enter in set intervals and then just one fall.
They said it was a War Games match, but
kind of, because they also said next week, and we'll get into it when we talk about the show, but they said next week they're going to do that parlay or whatever. So in terms of that, you would have to think like maybe they could add their own rules. Maybe they'll spread out the time,
like
make it like
change.
Yeah, maybe they could do anything really, and so speculating would kind of almost be crazy. But I think that's a good point by Johnny. Like they could alter the match to make it even longer than it already stands, and that in and of itself could make the match. And there's literally 10 talent involved, so it's going to be one match, but there could be multiple matches within the one match depending on how they decide to set it up. So we'll wait and see. But it's definitely an interesting thing. It's a cool thing. They're definitely trying something new, because I think this is a smart way to try Like, because if they wanted to do a long singles match, you would want to see it work first with 10 superstars to draw people in rather than just 2. So, I'm intrigued by it. Something else I'm intrigued by: Kenny Omega going after the Impact World Championship this weekend, this Saturday, squaring off with Rich Swann. This is a championship versus championship match. To me, that gives away the end result, but I suppose if you have an open mind or you're a diehard Impact fan, you might think that Rich Swann could come out AEW champion.
No way, brother. Too sweet. Kenny Omega's going to win it. He's going to wreck him. He's going to beat him down. He's going to take the title. Then he's going to slap him around a little bit with the Good Brothers. Then he's going to hop on over to AEW with the belt.
Yeah, he's going to take both belts and go to WWE.
Oh, dude, there we go. That would be... That's the storyline right there. I'd love to see that. But it looks like he's definitely going to take the Impact belt. That should help Impact a little bit, just sort of with their main event division. I think, and very much so, if they do bring in someone like Samoa Joe, as me and AJ have speculated over the last couple of episodes, like, you bring in Samoa Joe to square off with Kenny, and it's for Impact, it's just automatically sales. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a whole lot of story you even have to add into that, but you can build so much story off of that. So if they can do something cool like that, I'm very much intrigued. I think this relationship with Impact has been essentially just a good relationship for AEW because they've been able to bring the Good Brothers in, really haven't had to give up much. It's helped Impact to an extent where they've gotten better buy rates and stuff on their pay-per-views, but I don't think it's really been super significant. But it's cool.
It is cool. I think it like it doesn't have to be super significant. Any help helps, right?
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair for sure. I think it varies. I think that Impact has done something with this, but I think they could have done more. I think you had people tuning in for Kenny and weren't able to present a consistent Impact-centric storyline.
I think they needed more Impact guys in AEW.
It wasn't really that.
That as well.
During the pandemic, they had all their shows pre-taped, so when Kenny was on, that was a pre-taped segment on a pre-taped show.
Right.
Oh, wow,
so they couldn't book the show around Kenny being there, or they would have.
But that was just the very beginning. Like, that was the end of tapings, and, like, they reset tapings after that point. So I get what you're saying, but also to a point, like, they should have had something, some type of real good storyline outside of Kenny Omega's involvement to make people say, wow, I want to tune into this show, not just because of AEW, but because Impact has this really cool storyline going on. Like, something I could think of with recent memory with Impact, and I didn't even really love it, but the Eddie Edwards and Sammy... What's going on, man?
Fuck you, dude. Moose.
Okay, I'm not gonna listen to that. I'm not going to listen to that. They did not... Moose was not enough to get people tuned in to Impact. And what was his storyline?
Did they have Moose on AEW?
Yeah, no, but they had Moose take the storyline. He willed the title into existence and then
lost
defended it.
And then lost it to Rich Swann. He lost the title to Rich Swann.
Yeah, okay, he lost it later, but, like, whatever. He did that for, like, a year. He was just carrying it around, and no one could take it from him, and it was awesome.
Thank you, AJ, for essentially proving my point, because for a year he was carrying that belt around. Kenny Omega comes around, all of a sudden the belt means something for a couple of weeks, and then he drops it and it's over. So for a year the story was
made me
like
feel very sad.
So
that's kind of weird.
They didn't do a whole lot to really elevate anything at that point, and that's where my point for Impact is. Like, the Kenny thing is great, but there needs to be something else, and I think they have a lot of talent for that. They can potentially do that. Moose is someone that does fall into that category, but even since Kenny becoming involved, he hasn't really been doing anything, and we do have an idea of why, but we don't know for sure. So we'll have to wait and see. The Kenny versus Swann match is very good. What they're able to do outside of it is what's more important for Impact, though. Being able to utilize Kenny is great for right now. They haven't really built anything for me to be really intrigued by over there, so.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it's unfortunate they just haven't had, like, anyone build, like, the title matches with Kenny in AEW, because, like, they had, like, Kenta appear.
Yeah.
Beating up Moxley, they should have had, like, that happen in AEW, like, just have an Impact guy show up.
I feel like they will, though, if the title changes hands.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
I think that for sure will happen. If not, I don't know. In storyline, it makes sense of why Tony Khan isn't advertising their stuff, and he had kind of referenced this, and I feel like his response was in storyline, was in character, I guess I would say, in sense of, like, I have to pay for my ads on Impact, so why would I give them free advertisement by talking about Kenny's match on Impact. So I get from that perspective. I also think though that, like, they could have just done something to advertise that match on at any point. Like, and they did have. There was a commercial spot during Dynamite last night for it, so maybe that's Tony actually doing something for it outside of mentioning it on the show. So I don't think we would ever really know the answer to that, but it could be. But I do agree, like, it would have been nice, and maybe hopefully that's something that will come down the line, maybe with a superstar that we care a little bit more about than Rich Swann, because I don't blame Tony Khan for not promoting that match when it's up against Swann. Like, I love Swann. He's a talented guy, but it's just, it doesn't really level out to me.
Yeah, I'm still wanting the Bucks and the Guns, even in 2021.
Yeah. So then there's just so much exciting stuff that they could still potentially do with Impact and AEW that Rich Swann wasn't the first thing I would think of, but I'm okay with it kind of being the first thing.
You want to see a guy get elevated, so it's not like you're gonna put your nose up to it.
Right. Let's go ahead and talk about this week's ratings just briefly, because there's really not a whole lot to write home about outside of the fact another week over 1 million, 1.1, a slight drop off from last week, but
again, that's like, hey, this is where we're at, and this is pretty good.
That's just kind of what I expected after last week. You know what I mean? I didn't anticipate a major drop off to like 900,000. I think there are a lot of wrestling fans that are used to watching wrestling on Wednesday nights, and AEW's product is good enough that there's really no reason not to. You know what I mean?
Well, I agreed with all of that. I still wasn't sure if it was going to be like, just, oh, now we get to watch AEW, so let's watch AEW. The fact that it was 1.1 million again, just to me, like, clearly it already was to you, but for me it was like, oh, this solidifies it. This is where we're at, and that's a pretty good number to be at.
Yeah, it's just a solid number. Nothing really too, like I said, to me, it's not too crazy. It's what I was expecting after we saw the first big number. I was like, okay, we're going to be doing big numbers going forward. This is what AEW should expect. If it drastically drops off, then something wasn't connecting, but the content is just really decent at the very least. Like, I'm not going to say every episode is amazing, because some do feel filler-ish, but 90% of them are like last night's, where they were pretty freaking sweet from top to bottom. So to me, it seems like a no-brainer that many people would continue to tune in. And I think coming off of last night's show, going into the next week, it especially has me super confident about it. And we talked about this last week when it was like, last week's show was good, but not great. If they can get that many people tuned into this week's show that on paper looked great, then it should be easy to maintain that number, and that's what I'm expecting. So yeah.
Can you imagine though being like the TNT or Warner executive and being like, you signed this to a 4-year deal, and like just every coincidence like after the pandemic falls in your favor, like you hold the rating through the pandemic, so you're already like, okay, this show rules, and then the competition is like, we're moving to Tuesdays because of hockey, and you're like, what? This is just fucking coming up TNT.
Yeah.
Imaginary war.
Exactly. And then any of the stuff that has seemed to potentially be an issue, like having to move because of NBA games and stuff, like nothing has really hurt AEW in that way either. So they've just been super consistent. And it's been a product that I'm sure the executives are glad that they brought on. So for sure. And it's just it's a cool thing to see that they're able to maintain that rating. But it's, like I said, what I expect with the product. It's been really, really good. So let's talk about last night's show. I thought it was really good. We thought about it on paper. It looked great with all the matches, and I don't think anything necessarily missed where I was expecting it to be good. We opened up the show with Hangman versus Starks. This was not the match that I expected. I'm not even going to say it's the match I wanted, but it was a really good match. It was a really cool match with Hangman kind of beating the shit out of Ricky Starks for a majority of it, in my opinion. What'd you guys take out of this one with Hangman taking the victory?
I liked it. Well, I thought, like, yeah, Ricky Starks got the shit beat out of him, but he hung in the match. Like, he was, like, his Hangman's been on a kind of Ricky Starks has been on a streak. They talked about it, but you didn't see it as much as Hangman's. Yeah. Hangman, like, on TV was beating guy after guy after guy, and then he fights Ricky Starks, and it's like, it's hard to beat this motherfucker.
Yeah,
so I don't think he got buried or anything.
Forth. Yeah, it shouldn't be a back and forth match between these two. Like, I also like do you guys notice the big thing that was covered was like the German suplex spot? Like, he landed like on his neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been seeing the replay of that a lot on Twitter, and it's like, I don't know how he stood up after that.
Yeah.
And he was selling his Achilles the whole entire match too. It was like, but his neck, like,
Like if because they had probably like planned that part out prior, right? Like you're gonna work your leg or whatever. But at that point, like think with to just switch it up. You know what I mean? In the middle of the match and start selling the neck instead. That would have been crazy. But I was with you in the sense of like I thought he broke his freaking neck at that moment, then able to work through the match. Like that kind of added to Starks' side of the match where he just. You knew he probably wasn't going to win, but he just kept getting the shit kicked out of him. Because even after falling on his neck, he then gets a lariat, which also hits him right in the freaking throat.
Yeah.
Like, and then takes another lariat or two after that before getting beat with a submission victory. This was a really fun match. Again, not what I expected from these two, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, this does make sense. Like Hangman kind of beating his ass. Makes sense because, like you guys said, Hangman has had the stronger run through what they've had going on, but Stark still looked great because he took that ass beating and just kept coming. So
I also like the finish because he didn't work the neck completely, but like the Achilles part and the neck, it just made like the botch make more sense. It was a good finish too.
Absolutely. And post match, we get Hook getting involved, beating up Hangman a little bit.
Young boy Hook.
Stark tried to join in, but before he could really get involved, before anything could really get going, Hangman drops Hook. Cage hits the ring, and they can't get anything going because the Dark Order makes a save. So it looks like we're leading to Cage versus Page. Gonna see some rage from Cage and Page.
Yep.
Well, they're gonna get Christian Cage involved in that too, and we're gonna have like a
Cage and
Page versus Starks and Cage or something.
I think what they're setting up is like I'll talk about later in the show. Never mind.
Fair enough, but the Starks and Hangman thing could be interesting, but we'll see if it leads to something else. We'll talk about it when we get to the Christian portion of the show. Christian the wrestler, not the Christian. We're not praying today. We got the Elite. They show up for their private trailer. Quick little segment there, but establishing something else that's going to come up later in the show. Then we get a cool little promo from Pentagon. He cuts a nice promo in Spanish, but we get Alex translating for us. I love how he's transitioned into this role so perfectly.
I love Alex Abrahantes. He's the best.
It's cool that commentary has sort of played into that idea too. Like when he's in this role, he's just you could tell he likes it, and you can tell he likes it. And that's what makes it more fun. So he talks about how the best friends should have never restarted their issues with the Death Triangle. So yeah, this was fun.
This was fun. I just love Alex Abrahantes in general. Every time, like he seems so happy about telling people that Penta's gonna kill them.
Mm-hmm. Like
it seemed like a test run at first too, and it just into the role like immediately.
Yeah, like it was something that just clicked, and it hits perfectly. He feels like someone who was probably a big Pentagon fan prior to this, and now being able to do promo work for him, he's like, yes, this is exactly it. So. I wouldn't be surprised even if it was like his idea. If he was like, I could do the promos for Penta so good. So we get Pentagon taking on Trent directly after this and picking up what I would call a surprise victory. I didn't anticipate Penta picking up the victory in this one. We did get, it wasn't super clean. Alex got involved. He grabs a mic, cuts a promo on Trent after Trent is kind of taking advantage in this match and says that Penta says your friends suck, you suck, and you know who sucks the most? Your mama. And this, of course, just it makes Trent pissed off. He goes to chase down Alex. Alex runs into the ring. Orange Cassidy is there to take out Alex, but before he can do that, we get Pentagon dropping Orange Cassidy. The referee goes to check on OC, and at this point, Alex drops Penta with the mic, right? Yeah, and then we get
Trent with the mic.
That's
Trent,
what I meant.
Trent.
That's what I meant.
Question mark.
Trent.
It's a lot. You did a very good job, though, considering.
Yeah.
It was cool, man. I did not expect Penta to come out on top on this. We talked about it on the podcast. We thought like, oh yeah, Trent just came back. He's gonna get a win. He's gonna get on a streak. But no, Penta won, and I'm totally down with this. 1 second.
I guess they're still down with the Penta singles run from before that they were hinting at earlier.
Well, and that's what me and AJ had talked about it on the last episode. Like, we were kind of bummed. Like, oh, we're kind of getting off of that Penta singles run. He's not going to have as much steam going on. This looked like a very good spot for Trent to win. You know, Trent back. Mm-hmm. I think this is his first singles match since his return. So it looked like Trent was going to win.
Yeah, but on paper, I was like, yeah, Trent's going to win this. But, like, makes sense if they're still on Penta's side.
I liked how they booked it too, because this is a dirty finish with Alex getting involved, but it doesn't really hurt anybody. Like, it's a really smart way to not have a clean finish. So AEW did a really good job here with this one. Like, it wasn't something I expected. You could even consider it somewhat of a swerve. Like, this was good stuff.
Yeah, and I would say this is like the major kind of swerve match of the night.
Yeah, in terms of just what I wasn't expecting, for sure. Because there were a couple matches on this card where we were like, well, they could go one way or the other. And I think we have kind of decided, like, this one wasn't one of those. Like, it was definitely going to be a Trent win. So when I saw it, I was like, wow, I'm very surprised. But it made so much sense that I was like, duh, why didn't I think of that? We got an MJF promo on Jericho in the Inner Circle. Wardlow gets involved for a minute, but it's pretty much just MJF going over the idea that Jericho just pairs himself with the hot young superstar and then pretends he's the one who got them over. He says that MJF, when Jericho was MJF's age, he was a curtain jerker, and says that Jericho called him a mark. He says he is a mark. He's a mark for Jericho's spot. So I like that, the ending especially. Wardlow's part in this was really good too. I thought he sounded really confident on the mic, I guess you would say. What do you think?
I really like the line about "I'm a mark for your spot," like, because that's so MJF, and I just love that MJF is just like chasing something that he's not going to be able to attain, even if he beats Jericho. Like, he wants to have Jericho's spot. But Jericho's spot was earned over like 30 years. He's like, he has legendary status. Like, the bosses do what he's like, listens to his ideas because he's Chris Jericho. MJF can't become that overnight, and I feel like that's what he wants. He wants to be like that, like, all important, and like, he'll be that important someday. But like, right now he's just not there, and I love that. That's what he wants though, at all times.
Well, I think that's fine though. Like, even MJF knows, like, he's not going to just take Jericho's spot even if he takes Jericho out.
Right.
Like, he knows that, but it makes sense.
But a good stepping stone to achieving that is by taking Jericho out. So yeah, I think that was a good promo. They did a solid job. Like I said, Wardlow. It wasn't like a home run or the best promo I've ever heard, but a guy like Wardlow, who kind of reminds me of Jack Swagger at a young age, where you just expect them to fuck up on the mic, and he didn't. So I was like, oh, good shit, Wardlow. You didn't make yourself sound like a total idiot. So
yeah, that was a good Wardlow promo too. Like, it was like good job referencing the botch from like last week, so like 2 weeks ago, or whatever that was.
Yeah, they did a good job there. From there, we get a hype package, of course, specifically for me and AJ, hyping up the Hikaru Shida and Tay Conti championship match, which then follows directly after. What did you guys think of the match and the hype package? Shida picking up the victory. I think we expected this, but it was still a fantastic match.
It was fantastic. The hype package, I was kind of mad because they cut it up from what it originally was. And I really liked the original hype video for that. I was like, they did a great ass job making Hikaru Shida like sound like this is a huge match. And it felt like a huge match when I watched it. And I'll say it, if it had gone on last, I think I would have been happier. Because I thought it was that good. I thought it had that much more like gravitas to it of like, I don't know who's gonna win. Like, they could have easily pulled the trigger on Tay Conti, and I would have been like, that makes sense. I wanted Hikaru to win, but I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that match should have ended at night, but like they mentioned earlier, that's the way a TV title works. TV title always main events, I guess. Unfortunately, even if this match was like way better, in my opinion.
I feel like I hope that they've been consistent with that, because I don't know for sure. I'll take their word for it, but I feel like I've seen a TV title match and not headline, but maybe I'm off.
Me too. I don't remember though.
Yeah.
Like probably during Cody's run.
That's what I was thinking, but and like, I feel like you saying it in that point, I feel like even more so they definitely had TV title matches that weren't on the main because they had the open challenge so much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think
Eddie Kingston was at the start of the show.
Oh yeah, JD Drake versus Darby was in the middle of the show.
Yeah, so that's true.
Like, they
lied.
They lied.
I can appreciate the effort, but I mean, come on, guys. That's a shitty excuse is all I'll say to them. But it's weird because this women's title match I feel like would have felt more important. The post match and Britt Baker coming out and showcasing herself as the #1 contender would just feel a little bit more important. Like, it adds to that match. And it's a great way to close the show, right? Like I feel like you close the show with the new biggest women's feud being presented in a great light. And I don't think that they closed the show in an awful way, but I think that is better than how they closed it. And hopefully they can recognize that in the future. Like, our women can main event in regular championship matches to close the show. It doesn't have to be this hardcore stipulation that they had previously. And I think that the way that they had built up Ty and Sheeta's just been built up so well in and of itself, like, they could have main evented and it would have kind of felt really, really cool. So I feel like they missed a good opportunity there, but the match itself delivered 100%, and announcing Britt as the number one contender is of course expected. Like, the match was everything I expected, and probably a little bit more from what they delivered.
I want to make an announcement, Andrew.
Oh shit, here we go.
Now, I've been a Hikaru Shida supporter.
Are you gonna
during
turn on
this
your
Ty
girl?
Conti match. Now that Britt Baker is in play, fuck Hikaru Shida.
Oh
It's
wow,
time for Britt Baker
dang,
to
that's
take
crazy.
that title and become the true ace of the company, the heel ace of the company, the God Queen.
I don't even know who to root for anymore, because I obviously would have. I don't know. We'll this is a developing situation, but
changing my profile picture as we speak.
This is all right. Cool. I see. You have a new ace. You have turned your back on
likes your tweet,
Hikaru.
and then you betray her like that.
Literally within 24 hours, he's like, nope.
I'm gonna make an even better Britt Baker tweet.
Oh, geez, here we go. All right. Well, that's fine, AJ. That's fine. We'll see how that works out for you. Let's talk about the Miro promo, the one we listened to open up the show, but he talks about how it's another week with no Kip Sabian. He wants vindication. He says anyone who has a title, he's coming for their title, and it's his destiny to become the champion. So this was a solid promo from him, I think. I think he's really coming into this role pretty well. Calling Sting whatever he called him, the emo face paint.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. And just those moments, I think, that he's able to have. I think he's the one who had one a couple weeks ago that I popped for too. That it's like that type of little shit, I feel like goes a long way in getting someone over, like Miro. Like, that's what worked for him in the past, and it's going to continue to work.
No, I totally agree, and this was a solid promo, and it did everything it needed to do. And it's just because, like, really put Miro against any champion, and like, I'm gonna very much question whether the title changes hands.
I
just question whether they're going to insert him though. That's like the thing is, like, when are they going to actually pull the trigger on him?
Yeah,
that's the thing, because like it seems like both titles storylines are filled right now, unfortunately for him, and he's not in a tag team anymore. It's I don't know when they're going to pull the trigger.
I could see him beating Darby. I
can see him beating Darby easily, but it's just like I don't know when they're going to do it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's a matter of when. Like.
And that's kind of what's cool about it right now, and how they've elevated him in just the perfect way. And he's coming off of a loss, right? Like, I think that's what his most recent match was the arcade match loss.
I believe so.
So it's funny that someone who could come off of that could then, I feel like, could be put in either championship picture right now, and I would be totally okay with it, and would consider him a viable potential person to beat Kenny, maybe, but definitely feel like he would beat Darby. So that's where it adds a lot of intrigue, and maybe he wouldn't too. So that's what's cool about it, and I think they've done a good job at just building him up through these promos, and not having to just do maybe your typical squash run you might see from someone like Miro. So yeah, I do anticipate it to be Darby, but they could easily put him into the championship picture against Kenny as like the main event at the pay-per-view, and I would be okay with that because of how they've built this up.
They're both gamers, so it's kind of funny. Yeah.
And I
Kenny's
think
a fighting game guy.
I think him versus Kenny could be a great match too in and of itself. Like, I think him and Kenny could just be like a different style, really cool type of match than maybe what we've seen from Kenny in a while. So I think it would be really good. But I definitely expect it to be a Darby thing. But you never know. That's how come the way they've built it has been smart, where you can see it go either way. Another promo, we get the Inner Circle discussing Blood and Guts. Says it's going to be the most brutal match ever on TNT. Hager and Santana start cutting into it. Jericho says it's fun to make jokes, but on May 5th, it's going to be a lesson in violence. And he says next week we're going to have a parlay between the two groups. No more promos just between the groups. They're all going to be out in the ring and discuss the rules of the Blood and Guts match. So we'll get a better idea, I think, of how they plan to lay out this match type.
Yeah, I immediately thought of Pirates of the Caribbean. I was like, parlay. Oh, that's when you have to get to talk to the captain. But then he said parlay meant something different, and I was like, what the fuck, Chris Jericho? That's not pirate code. That's the pirate's honor. It's pirate's way. It's fucked up. Anyways, this was it was an alright promo. It wasn't like comparably for sure. It was worse than their other promo.
It wasn't like, I just felt like his points were kind of stupid. Like,
Yeah.
Like he was like talking about how like his the other stables didn't talk that much, but then like his stable doesn't really talk that much besides his promo.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like and also Santana cut a better promo than Chris Jericho in my opinion.
He did.
I did like Santana's part, so I agree with you there. It was fine for what it was to announce what's coming next week, but outside of that, like, it wasn't some home run promo where I was like, oh man, this is must see stuff. But they've started to put the May 5th date in your mind and stuff consistently. So I'm excited for the match. I think that's what maybe the issue is here too. Like, this is a fine feud. It's great superstars involved. There's even like a decent reason for it, but there's just not a big enough reason for it to be just a one-match show behind this. At least for me, the feud is fine. I don't know why I'm not just connecting with it, I guess.
It just seems like a weird choice.
Like, well, I think him versus MJF makes sense. Like, the Pinnacle and Inner Circle, it makes sense. Everything about it makes sense, but I just feel less excited about this than the Inner Circle versus the Elite, I guess I would say.
Oh, I get you. I thought you meant about the one match thing. No, I get that because, well, the Pinnacle's fresher than the Elite. You know, it didn't have a built-in history. It didn't have like a lot. Like it didn't have more. It had less gravitas. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But like, this isn't bad by any means.
No. I'm not saying it is either. I
feel
think it's
like
Sean
compared to-
Spears, honestly.
I think it's
Shut up.
I think the difference is like this one, like it feels like it's being built up way faster than Elite versus
That's
Inner
true,
Circle.
Yeah.
Like they're already doing the blood and guts match. Like after like that's like their second match together. It's gonna be that.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah, I think that's probably a big point of it too. You guys make great points though. But yeah, I think that just thinking about the one match show thing, I think that the Elite versus Inner Circle would have made a little bit more sense in that type of situation. But nonetheless, we'll see how it goes. Something we've been kind of watching develop over the last couple weeks, QT Marshall's group, him and Anthony Ogogo cut a decent little promo on Billy Gunn and how Anthony Ogogo's has come to America to steal everybody's money.
Fuck America.
You got it, dude. This was fine, and it leads into QT picking up a victory over Billy Gunn. Again, a fine match. Ogogo gets involved. Post-match, like, all of this was fine. I'm not super sold on because it's Billy Gunn and stuff, but I'm cool with it. What do you think, AJ?
I thought it was. Do you mean the match and the promo, or the just promo?
Well, no, the match and the promo, everything. Let's get into it.
I liked it because like I was very much surprised by Billy Gunn. Like, I was like, wow, you're like almost 60. What the fuck? How old is he? He's old. He's in great shape though, and he did very well. Like, he didn't do like his big moves. Like, he didn't bump as much as I'd hoped. But like,
no shit, because he's old, brother. What do you expect?
It was fine. It was fine, and QT beat him, which is the more important thing because he's kind of a big guy, and so it makes QT look like he just beat down this big guy. Also, as far as the promo goes, I love Tony Soprano, QT Marshall.
What were you saying, Johnny?
I like the post match like way more than the match, like with no sell the chair.
Yeah.
That looked cool.
That was great.
It looked cool. But do you guys like the liver punch?
I appreciate the continued effort with it, utilizing it in this match as like a way to help him win and stuff. But I'm not sold on it as a finisher.
It feels like it kind of feels like a meme. It feels like a meme to me, like the Bastardin thing. I always think Bastardin when I see that. So.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. Maybe I'll get used to it. At first I was like,
I feel like the longer it takes, the more I'm just like, it's still not connecting with me.
I think the more I see it, the more it's going to be kind of like a meme. Kind of like the Juice effect is kind of like a meme. So
yeah, and it's tough too because I like Ogogo. His look is really good, but it's like, come on, that's all you could do is punch someone in the stomach and they're fine, like, or they're dead. I guess I don't know. Like, it's strange to me. But
it's realistic. Makes sense.
It makes sense. It's just weird to see.
Yeah, it's just weird.
It doesn't play visually, and wrestling is visual.
Yeah. It's something that it'll take some time to connect, I think, for people, and it depends. Like, they've put a lot of time already into it, and him hitting Cody with it multiple times, and Billy Gunn and stuff, so we'll see. The post-match I definitely did enjoy a lot more than the match itself, with Camarado getting involved, getting hit with the chair, and completely no-selling it. Cool that they used the wooden chair, but also because it was the first time they used the wooden chair, like, I definitely knew what was about to happen. Like, this chair is just about to explode, and somebody's not going to give a fuck. So, but it was still cool nonetheless.
It was great. Like, Camarado looked like a monster, and that's all I need.
And this is likely leading to Camarado versus Dustin, I think, or potentially Dustin versus QT in like a bull rope match as well, because Dustin had utilized that as a weapon when he came to make the save. So I might like that. As much as like, and I feel weird as hell saying that I wouldn't mind seeing QT Marshall versus Dustin in a bull rope match, but the precedents they've set in these style of matches, and Dustin, he's been going, like, every match he's had has been really pretty good. So
he's solid. He is solid. Like, he's not blowing my mind, but he doesn't have to, and he always
sometimes he does too, though.
Yeah, sometimes he really pulls some shit out, and like, it's amazing. But like, he like is like perfectly solid at what he does. Like, you can rely on him.
Yeah, so I could see, and with him being kind of an old school guy, I could see him really kind of getting the shit kicked out of him in a bull rope match if they go that direction. So I wouldn't mind seeing it, especially if they did it at the pay-per-view or something where they would put it on a grand stage and you would expect to see something crazy. And Dustin only has so many more of those matches in him. I'm sure he wouldn't mind doing a match like that with QT. So who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. I feel like it's not going to be on the pay-per-view because I feel like it's going to be Cody on the pay-per-view and QT.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. That would be... They might have to rush that together, though. It depends. It depends on how quickly they do Dustin versus QT. And is QT really just going to knock off every member of the Nightmare family until he gets to Cody? Like, he's just beating the bosses?
Maybe.
I'm with it. After this, we get the Young Bucks. They're back in their trailer with Kenny talking some business. This segment was kind of confusing to me. There's too much magic going on in AEW because there's some honking going on. Kenny Omega's really annoyed by this because he's obviously trying to talk. I thought that was great. They like look out the window to see who's there. It's of course Mox and Eddie Kingston. They're in Moxley's truck. They drive into the trailer.
They ran very quickly.
And those guys got out of Dodge because by the time Mox and Kingston got out of the truck and walked around the thing, which was literally like 25 seconds, they were lost. They're gone.
They couldn't even see them.
No,
they weren't even in the shot. It was weird.
I thought they were going to go in the door, and as they were going in the door, you saw the other door in the back, and you would see them coming out the door. And I thought that is fine. It's fucking stupid, but I'm fine with that level of comedy for me. Like, at least there's an explanation to them dipping out as they're going in.
But there's like 8 guys in the trailer, and they all got out somehow. Even the cameraman.
Leave Cutler and the camera guy, and then let Cutler get the shit kicked out of him. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, something like that. Like, they need some form of revenge. And it's like, I don't think it really cut it.
They destroyed their trailer, man. That's their revenge.
Yeah, I guess.
Like,
it's just too confusing.
They're so broke they can't afford another trailer.
Like, is the story supposed to be that they were never in the trailer at that moment?
I don't know.
Or are they literally just
they heard
so
the
fast?
Honking,
yeah.
So no, they had to have been really fast.
Just so fast. Like,
there was a secret trailer that was somewhere else, but also in earshot. But also in earshot.
I was also waiting for them to like pop up out of the thing, like hiding somewhere after they left again. Like, I did not know what was good because I was like, this isn't. I guess, but like, you guys didn't have to do it in such a way that is stupid. Like, maybe Mox and Kingston were supposed to like take a lot more time to get in there or something. But especially when you take into the consideration that, hey, they were in the trailer that just got hit by a freaking truck. They shouldn't be able to just walk right out, like, so much. But it was still pretty cool. I'll give them that.
It was cool, I guess.
But like, if it didn't make you question like, what the fuck is going on? It was just like the Shaq thing. Like, that's all I thought of. I was like, they ate the same cereal Shaq did that morning, and they were able to disappear. Like, but it was fine. It was fine. It could have just been so much cooler. Like, because they looked so cool in the truck. Yeah. Everything about it was cool until they walked around the corner and they were all gone. I was like, oh, well, this is great.
They should have just had him like just do a drive-by and just like left.
Yeah.
Like I think rather than just trying to finish him off, then it probably would have been better.
Yeah, like hit the trailer and then drove the trailer away. Not shot up the trailer, but I feel what you're saying.
Yeah.
I got you. For sure. Christian Cage picking up a victory over Hobbs. This is pretty decent. Yeah, this is good.
Good story.
Hobbs,
Good story to it.
So you guys liked it, yeah?
Yeah, I liked this match a lot. I thought this was when my uncle and I think cousin came in to watch Dynamite because they didn't know it was on. They were like, "Oh shit, we'll watch." And
your uncle's probably like, "I know that guy. I used to watch him when I was younger."
He's hip to Dynamite. But anyways, he was really into it, and so I got really into it because Hobbs is he looks really fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is I checked how old he is. He's 30, and I was like, that makes sense because I feel like he's been doing this for probably a little bit because he's really like polished as a wrestler.
Yeah, Hobbs is great.
It wasn't sloppy. His stuff looked good, looked crisp, and Christian made him look like $1 million too.
Yeah.
I was gonna say he is facing Christian, so he is supposed to look like $1 million, right? Like Christian's supposed to make everybody look great. But this was good. This was really good. And post match, we have Ricky Starks hitting the ring to check on Hobbs a little bit. Looks like they're maybe setting something up with Christian. Jonny D, this might be where you have a little bit more to speak on this.
Well, the thing is, I think what they're setting up is they're not they're gonna do Team Taz versus Paige and Christian, but I think what they're actually building up for is Christian versus Paige. Because Paige is on a run and Christian has to knock off Paige. And I don't think Christian's going to win, though. Even though they've been setting up Christian versus Kenny pretty hard. I think Paige's is Paige's time. So, but this is what they're going to set up for is Paige versus Christian with them fighting against Team Taz, I think.
With
some Dark Order involved. Some Dark Order involved, but not as much as Paige and Christian as the focal points.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I could be off here, but I feel like
sense.
Christian is about to steal Team Taz. The weird stare down between him and Starks, I don't know. For me,
no, I hear you. I
that
feel
could
like
be
he's
cool
gonna.
Too.
I thought he was gonna steal Starks in particular, actually.
And that it might just be one guy where he's like, I didn't want to join your group, but this guy looks great, and I feel like I could really do something by mentoring him or something like that. I think that could be really interesting and would be amazing for Starks, just because it would feel like some level of elevation and credibility to him and his character. So I don't know for sure. It might not be that, but it definitely did have the feel of something like maybe it could lead to a match between the two, or it could lead to a pairing between the two. Either one, I'm 100% behind though. So
yeah, I'm super into that.
That'd be a really good pairing too.
It would
be. Christian's at home in the tag division. He can pair with anybody. So
that
team would be
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we'll have to see, and that's something where this Christian storyline with Team Taz has started to develop into something a little more interesting. I still don't know what's going on with Starks and Cage and everything because they seem to be on better terms. So maybe that was just a stopgap story, but I think there is more to that with Hobbs too and everything. So we'll see. I think we could be a couple of weeks away from finding out something crazy about that. But we got a promo from Jade Cargill, talking about how every manager in AEW wants to sign her, but there was only 2 managers who had mentioned they wanted to sign her. Maybe Tully was too busy for a pre-tape. Marco
I'm sure
Stunt.
Taz also
Arn
wants
Anderson
her.
was written off. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It was a kind of a dumb promo. I'll be honest. I usually like Jade promos.
Great.
It just made no sense. I think they're bringing in somebody, but it's just but she's I don't need a manager.
Yeah,
so
she's I don't need a manager, but if you want to manage me, I want a lot of money, so maybe I want a manager.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's unless they're bringing Teddy Long or somebody. I don't really see what you're
Teddy
doing with
Long.
That might work.
Yeah.
But
he's the only guy I can think of.
Militant Teddy Long.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if he's a heel, everyone's gonna love him anyways. So it's
That's true.
I don't really know what the plan is. I don't know if it's to potentially slaughter in one of these multiple groups that AEW has right now.
She doesn't need a group. She's Jade Cargill.
Yeah, she really doesn't.
And maybe that's all they're trying to establish at this point is to say just that, there's so many people trying to sign me and involve me in their group, but I'm Jade. And that would have felt bigger if it wasn't just Matt Hardy and Vicky Guerrero and that level. Like, if it was maybe and I'm not saying that they should have had Jericho and these people in it, but that would have been what this promo needed to feel legitimate. Without that stuff, it just kind of falls a little flat. So maybe not do this type of promo is essentially what the answer should have been, because, you don't want Jericho because what he has going on in the storyline, and MJF because they just have something going on. They're not really looking to add a woman to their group at this point, but those are the two biggest groups. So if they're not looking to add a group or a woman to their group, then what is even the point? Like, what is going on? So just in that aspect, I think we'll see how it goes, but the promo just didn't really hit for me because of the lack of notoriety and the managers attempting to sign her, I guess.
Yeah.
In the main event, we get Darby retaining his championship over Jungle Boy with the Last Supper pinfall. I didn't love this. I didn't love that he didn't even get hit with a finish to be pinned. I mean, I get it with the roll-up. It was a quick deal, I guess. But what'd you guys think?
I was fine with the roll-up. I like the match. I like the match fine. I thought this was a really good match, and it could have been great as the opener, and then you have the women's title match as the main event, and that would have been better. But I have no issue with this match as a match. It was really well done.
You thought Luchasaurus and Sting beating each other up was good shit?
Because again, my uncle was in the room, my cousin was in the room. They were like, "Yeah, Sting, go, Luchasaurus." So I was into it. Yeah, I was having fun.
I thought the match was kind of on the A side. It wasn't like, I'm not negative on it, but it was like kind of like in the middle. Because like it was nice to see a Darby match that wasn't a Darby match. Like he could actually like kind of work like a bad guy, but that also kind of like was weird because Sting was watching his back, and Sting is like supposed to be like the equalizer.
Yeah.
But it's like he's also cheating. So like, why is Sting helping him? Like, there's like a lot of weird stuff like that, but the match was okay to me. Just nice to see a Darby match where he's not just getting the shit kicked out of him the whole entire time.
Mm-hmm.
I would just rather see this match, this Jungle Boy versus Darby match, where, like, and I mean, with just more feel of that Jungle Boy could win. Like, I really didn't ever really have much anticipation even going into it. Like, and sure, but even still, it was like, like I don't know, man. I just feel like, and Jungle Boy's great, but I feel like another loss in a big spot, like maybe that's just the story of what Jungle Boy is going to become, as someone who consistently loses in a big spot. And like even his promo going into it was like, I might not win. So, and in terms of that, it's like, I don't know. I just feel like he could be built up better than what they've established here, and the match itself could have been a better story if that was the case. So instead, this was the match, and the match wasn't bad at all. I don't want to sound like I'm negative on it. I didn't love the roll-up finish, but I do understand it. It's cool by me. It was a fine match. Post-match was interesting. We have Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky getting involved, making an attack. Lance Archer making the save, which was kind of weird to me. Like, why is he saving
It's not
Darby?
weird.
It's not weird.
It's not weird. He's joining the Sting stable. He's joining Team Sting. My boy Lance Archer is going to get representation by the Stinger himself.
Like, he's going to betray them, like, immediately, right? Like,
maybe.
Because, like, he literally told Lance, like, ask Jake how to become a main eventer. And it's like, well, it's Jake. He's going to tell him to, like, betray them, you know? It's like, he's not a Sting guy. He's a Jake the Snake guy.
Yeah, you're right.
I really hope that's the story and not just that, he's Team Sting now, so he's going to save Darby. Like, I get it, but fuck, man. I don't like that. Like Archer all of a sudden doesn't care about the fact that he wanted a TNT championship.
His slogan is everybody dies.
Except Darby now, because he wanted to save Darby for some reason. Like, and then Sting comes out, of course, so makes a save for Archer, which that makes sense, I guess. Like, shouldn't Sting have been out to make the save for Darby, and then Archer came out and saved Sting when Sting couldn't overcome the odds? Like, wouldn't that made him a bit more sense?
Yes.
And yeah, it would make more sense.
I don't know, but that's just me. But otherwise, like, Archer joining that group, that's an interesting group for sure, if that is what it is. And I think I like Johnny's idea more, that it's like a bait and switch type of deal where we think he's going to join and then he ends up turning on everybody, because I think that would be pretty cool. And it's not a hard story to tell at all. So because Johnny just explained it in fucking 2 minutes, and I was like, yes, that's perfect. So I'm sure Jake the Snake can get the job done if he needs to. But that was a good Dynamite for sure. I think that they closed it out well. The 2 championship matches were really solid, really great. Like, this was exactly what I talked about prior on the last episode, AJ, where like they just needed to deliver on a couple of those matches, and they did. So, what more could you really have asked for? They did a good job leading into next week, solid. So, and then apparently 2 weeks from now we're getting a 1-show match. That should be easy as fuck to cover. Right? Like
I guess
that
it will
episode
be.
Will be sweet.
Well, the match happened.
Well, they have like a million like pre-taped segments, so that could make it hard to remember all of them. But
that's true.
True. Speaking of that, did we miss anything this week, Johnny? Because we were about to wrap things up.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No, Johnny,
usually we miss like Red Velvet or Jade, and that's like
no, not this week. I made sure, I
don't think so.
Maybe one of the listeners has got something. Tweet at us and let us know what we may or may not have missed. This was a good week for AEW though. They continue to build up on those good ratings. We've got Blood and Guts right around the corner, which it's funny when we were talking about it a year ago. We were like, that's going to be the show where they get over 1 million again. And now without the competition, they really don't got to worry about that. So they've got good stuff going on Dynamite. We'll be back on Tuesday to discuss next week's card. We talked about all the news. We talked about all the Dynamite this week. We're good. We're wrapped up. Jonny D, let them know where they can find you on social media, my friend.
My name is Jonny D, and on Twitter, my name is Jonny D. So.
Good shit. How about you, AJ?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at AJTheFitzy.
You can find me on Twitter at 2SweetElite. I'm on Instagram at Andrew Kazir. Make sure you guys check out the article I wrote for WrestleJoy yesterday about Kylan King. Really fun article detailing just her career in wrestling up to this point and joining AEW. You can find the podcast on Facebook.com/AllElitePod, on YouTube at YouTube.com/AllElitePodcast. We're on Twitter at AllElitePodcast, and Instagram at AllEliteEverything. Until next time, that'll wrap things up. See ya.
Bye.